Hello friends, welcome to CSE Core Concepts in the series of computer networks. In this video, I am going to discuss about a brief introduction to the network layer. So in case if you have failed to view my earlier videos, please go through it. We have discussed the physical layer, the data link layer, medium access control sublayer, and now we are moving towards the network layer. So let me briefly discuss about the network layer and its operations. So basically, it is concerned with getting packets from the source all the way to the destination. So in the data link layer, we have referred to the data in the form of frames. Now we will refer to them as packets. So basically, the work is of the network layer is to get the packets from source to to send the packets from source to the destination. So getting to the destination, why it might not be a smaller route, so it might be a longer route. So you may have to make many hops. Hops means you may have to move from one hop, one frame to one router to another routers, all the way. So if you want to route your network, okay, so let's say from example you want to go to school to or college from your home, right? So you should know the topology. Topology means you should know the route. So by that route, you can understand that from where to where you can get the first bus or from where you will get the auto and like that. So there can be multiple hops. If it is a smaller distance, you can get by one auto or one bus. But if it is a very large distance, you may have to have multiple hops. Same thing here. You may have to change different routers. So in order to set the path from which router to which router you will be traveling, you should know about the topology. So you must also take care while choosing the routes to avoid overloading. Now it should not be like that everybody is taking the same path. Okay, so it will cause overloading and other routes are idle, right? So the main responsibility of the network layer is to carry the data packets from the source to the destination without changing them. If the packets are too large, okay, for delivery, they can be broken down into smaller packets. Then it decides the route which will be taken by the packets to travel from source to destination, because there will be multiple routes available. This process is called as routing. So from the available multiple routes, you have to find out the best optimal route, right? So the source and the destination address will be added to the data packets, and the various services which are offered by the network layer is packetizing, that is converting the data into packets, routing, creating a route for them, and forwarding. Forwarding means one router receives the packet, it will forward to its next router. So the process of encapsulating the data, what is packetizing, let's see. So basically you have to encapsulate the data which you receive from the upper layer. So which is the upper layer of the network layer? That is transport layer. So the network layer will receive data from the transport layer and it will encapsulate, also called as payload, and on the receiver side the same packet will be decapsulating. Okay, they will open it, right? Open the packet. So source will adds a header. So there will be a header which will contain the source address, like we create an envelope, right? So we write from and to, right? Similarly here source address, who is sending the packet and to which destination, that address, and some other relevant information also we do write, okay, which is required, like book post, speed post, phone number. All these things are the extra headers which we need to add. Similarly, these packets also have some of the extra information which they have to add. Okay. So destination, when they receive this type of packet, they will open the packet and it will take the data from the packet and give it to its upper layer, that is the transport layer. So the routers in the path are not allowed, the routers are not allowed to change the address or open the packets. They are not allowed to do any of these things, neither fragmentation. Either this can be done on the source side or maybe destination side, they can open the packet. Not maybe, they will open the packet. That's it. In between, the router's work is simply to forward the packets, nothing else, right? So process of moving data. So what is routing? So process of moving the data from one device to another device is called as routing. So the network layer specifies some strategies. Okay, so network layer has many algorithms and strategies which can help it to find the best route. So this is called as routing. So there are number of routing protocols which we will study also. Some you might have known also some of the algorithms. So routing protocols, the routers coordinate with each other. They help in establishing the communication. So what a good routing protocol should have? What are the desirable property? First of all, correctness. They should give correct information. They should be simple. Very complex designing, it will lead to chaos. Robust. In case of a failure or something, they should be able to handle it. Stable. Fair. They should be fair to all types of stations, right? It should not be biased, and efficiency should be higher. So the routing algorithm should be able to cope with the changes. So if I have started using one route and meanwhile on the way I find that this route is damaged or congested, so the algorithm should be able to change the path as per the traffic or the topology or whatever, you cannot abort in between, right? And you have to change and give us some send you have to send it to the destination via some proper route. So routing algorithms are broadly classified into two categories. One is called as the non-adaptive. They are static in nature. So once the algorithm has been created, it will follow that algorithm only, no matter what is the situation, whether it is congestion, whether it is overload, whatever. They will follow only their same algorithm. No decisions and measurements, everything has been pre-decided. The route has been pre-decided. So it is like an offline. You can even download that route. You need not be online because it is not dynamic. So it's a static algorithm. Second type of algorithm is the dynamic algorithm. So they change based on the topology and the traffic. So based on wherever the traffic is, it will find out some of the alternate routes. So algorithms differ in where they get the information. So how do they, what information? From where they will get? From the local router. Say a packet started from the source machine. It went to the first router. Now first router will give it the information, will have the information that which next router is free, right? So local routers, or you can get it from all the routers. What is the situation of all the routers? That router can see, evaluate who is very busy, who is very idle, change in the load, and what metric is used for optimization. What are you using? What is your criteria? You are want to minimize the distance, you want to minimize the number of hops. What is your criteria, right? Based on these criteria, the algorithm will adapt itself. So there are various types of algorithms you can use to find out the shortest path from one destination to another destination. So you can use a graph type of a network, which we have discussed in the data in the DFS, that is your data structures, right? So we have seen the graph network where every node represents a router and you have a graph representing a communication line. So to choose a route between two pair of routers, you have to find out the shortest path. How do you decide the shortest path? Maybe by the number of hop counts. That if I take path 1, I will have to face only 2 routers. If I take path 2, I will have to face 5 routers. So obviously you will choose the lesser one. Okay, if you are going by the hop count. If you are, another metric is geographic distance. Geographic distance can be measured in terms of kilometers. That if I go via route A, I will have to travel 600 kilometers. If I am going via route B, I have to travel 800 kilometers. So obviously I will go choose route A. And there can be other definitions also, like bandwidth, average traffic. See, although say route A has only 2 hops and there is 600 kilometer, but if I found the network to be hefty, very, very heavy, right, that it will cause me more delays, then I don't mind using the longer route, by which I will reach faster. So you cannot always keep the hop count or the kilometer as your standard metrics. you have to go by the bandwidth. If you find that the bandwidth is higher on the other route, or traffic is less, distance is less, cost is less, so everything has to be measured, okay, in order to devise a good routing algorithm. So some of the common shortest path algorithms are the Dijkstra's algorithm. It is there in my data structure series. You can go there and see how does the Dijkstra's algorithm works, Bellman-Ford algorithm, Floyd-Warshall's algorithm. So any one of the algorithm can be used to choose the shortest path. And the non-adaptive routing techniques, yeah. So here, what is a non-adaptive routing technique? Flooding, right? So it is a local technique, flooding. Flood means what? It is going to flood you, right? So it will generate vast number of duplicate packets. Once an incoming packet comes to a router, it will go on delivering it to all its neighbor routers, whether it is for it or not. Now, one such measure is hop counter, right? It generates vast. So infinite number of routers are packets are generated. Now, one such measure to control the number of packets is hop counter. So, contained in the header. So, which will be decremented. If I say maximum hop 5, so after every hop it is traveling, it will decrement the count. So, hop counter should be initialized to the length of the path. So, if I say from source to destination, my total hop should be 10. So, my packet should not increase 10 hops. So the counter will start from 10. First hop, it will become 9. After second hop, it will become 8. So it will go on decrementing until it becomes 0. So if the sender does not know how long the path is, he may not know. Okay. So it can initialize to the worst case, that is the full diameter of the network. So flooding with a hop count can produce an exponential number of duplicate packets. As its name suggests, flooding, it will flood all the routers with the duplicate packets, and there will be a huge number of packets. So a better technique of damming is that all the routers should keep track of which packet have been flooded to avoid sending them. See, if a router has already received one packet, we need not give it to it again, right? So if A is connected to BCD, so A has sent to BCD. Now C is connected to B, so C should not again resend to B. No need. Understood? So C can send to some other router which has not received that packet. So here every router can have a list telling which sequence number of the frames is there. Router will check in its list that this frame received by me, don't send me again, go further. Okay, so if the incoming packet is on the list, it is not flooded. And another variation of routing is that your dynamic routing. So this is a technique to find the best path for the data to travel. So it is like transmit through various different routes and you have to reach the destination. So you can say they are very smart to take the best path based on the condition of the present scenario. So if in one section if it fails, suppose it has gone, okay, and some problem is there, so it is very smart to reroute. Like in Google Maps, if we go by one route and we miss one lane, Google Map will automatically fix itself, right? It will give you an alternate route. Same way here also you will be given a alternate route. So they are very, very dynamic in nature. So in my next upcoming videos, we will discuss about some more about the network layer, majorly focusing on the congestion, how to control the congestion. So if you like the video, if you understood it, please do press the like button and don't forget to share and subscribe to CSC Core Concepts. Thank you.